Are the super wealthy different from you and me? That's what Darrell West asks in his book, Billionaires, Reflections on the Upper Crust. He joins us now from the Brookings Institution, right here in Washington, D.C. Also joining the panel is Mykolas Rambus, CEO of wealthiest. He joins us from Detroit, and Armand Arton, who joins us from Dubai. He is the co-founder of Global Citizen Foundation. Thanks to all of you for joining us. Darrell, as we heard there's something like 2,000 billionaires, known billionaires in the world today, 500 of them in the United States. That pledge, that undertaking that was made by Bill Gates and Warren Buffett, what are your thoughts on something like that?
Well, the pledge has been very successful at getting American billionaires to sign up. Most of the people who've signed up are from the United States, but it's been very challenging to get people outside the United States to do that. People outside the United States feel that their wealth is under attack. There are a number of countries that have adopted a very tough stance on billionaires. They worry about billionaires coming into the political process and trying to influence public policy. So it's been much more challenging to get those people to be philanthropic outside of the United States.
Mykolas, your company, wealthiest, what you try to do is match billionaires with good causes that provide humanitarian services, educational services, social services. In your experience, is it very difficult getting the super rich to part with their money for these good causes?
Frankly, it's not. There's such a tremendous opportunity in a range of causes now. And the other thing is we're kind of in the golden age, or the golden period, if you will, for these major gifts. So many of these billionaires are baby boomers and beginning to think about their legacy. They've been successful in business and are now turning their attention to how they can leave a legacy behind. And so in fact, it's the perfect time for these organizations to be speaking to these billionaires.
Armand, your organization, the Global Citizen Movement, focuses on very specific philanthropic projects. What exactly do you do?
Thank you for the question. We work every day with some of the most powerful and wealthy individuals that wish to become global citizens. Our main activity by advising governments on how to attract them through second residence or citizenship implies a lot of services that we provide to our clients, one of them being how exactly to give back. And being a global citizen is not only the number of passports or residence one billionaire holds in his wallet. It's the understanding of the interconnectivity that exists between his prosperity and the prosperity of the nations and countries that he lives. So we advise a lot of our clients being from Asia and Middle East on how to choose different charities and how to funnel back some of the investments that they have made for global citizenship programs towards causes specifically in education.
Darrell, let's look at some of these specific things that are being done. In your book, Billionaires, Reflections on the Upper Crust, you talk about the term you use here is the wealthification of politics. What does that mean?
What we're seeing is wealth is seeping out into every sector. Certainly, it's influencing government and the world of public policy. A number of billionaires have been very strong advocates on a wide range of different causes. But through philanthropy, we're also seeing wealth influence the way universities operate. You mentioned think tanks, nonprofit organizations. And so the question I raise in my book is, what should we make of that kind of activism? A lot of billionaires made their money by being change agents. They're bringing that same mentality to their philanthropy.
Mykolas, what do you make of that kind of activism? I mean, should it be up to just a few individuals with a lot of money to influence what the rest of us can do and think and the way we run our lives?
No, I think not at all. There's just such an increase of wealth that's occurring, not just at billionaires, but almost every part of the, so to speak, upper crust, if you will, the ultra high net worth individual. Those numbers are growing across the world, and so the influence of those people, those billionaires as well on politics in almost every country, from China to Brazil to the U.S. as well, is continuing. In fact, we estimate there'll be over 5,000 billionaires within the next 6 years, right? Almost double the number we have today. Imagine the influence of that group on politics just ahead.
Armand, you are talking to us from a very interesting part of the world, from Dubai, the Gulf. I mean, this is a part of the world that has some of the richest people who live there. What is their track record when it comes to donating or philanthropy?
Well, it's true that this part of the world is extremely rich in terms of revenues and wealth. And somehow in the Muslim religion, the giving back exists since ancient times. So it is not completely new to them, the process of giving back to society. Of course, the wealthiest, the royal families, are the leaders in showing the way to do it. And a lot of the businessmen and the expats living in this part of the world are following their leaders and choosing different projects that they care about. It could be medication, education, water, and etc. A big part of our clients being from Asia, we see differently a part of selecting projects. Again, we're talking about first generation of wealth. Those people don't have the same habits as the US or some of the European wealthy families that have been passing wealth from generation to generation. So we believe that this new segment of new billionaires, which I believe Mykolas can confirm is the growing part of self-made billionaires, is the one that has as well the most challenges on learning how to give back.
And Armand, the people who are wealthy in the Gulf area, for instance, do they focus most of their donations, their philanthropy on people in the region, or do they go outside the region to, say, Asia or perhaps Latin America or Central America?
Well, living in one of the most as well unstable politically part of the world, definitely I think there is a lot of focus that is being right now focused in the Middle East, specifically after the Arab Spring and the Syria crisis. All the refugee camps is primarily the reasons of most of the charities that raise funds in this part of the world. They do, of course, extend. I would estimate around 25% goes outside of the Middle East part as donations.
Darrell, you've talked about the new models of giving, new models of philanthropy, transforming contemporary donations. Explain to us, what this is and how does it differ from the old model?
Well, the old model basically was rich people who would give universities money, and basically they might be concerned about education or healthcare, but there'd be very few strings attached. They would basically trust the experts to figure out the best use of the money, how to solve the problems, how to make progress. Increasingly, the new model called impact philanthropy is basically saying, okay, we're concerned about this issue, but we also have this solution that we want you to consider. And so they're giving money with performance benchmarks attached to them. You have to work towards specified goals. And so, it raises questions about the role of wealthy and the strings that are getting attached to some of the philanthropic gifts.
Mykolas, we have heard this story, this lesson, if you like, before, give a man a fish and he eats for one day, teach him how to fish, and he, of course, eats for the rest of his life. Steve Forbes, the billionaire, who's a donor in his own right, says that what they're doing right now is finding business solutions to address not just the problem that they're seeing in front of them right now, but to address the root of those social ills. In other words, for instance, creating better medicines, better vaccines to treat illnesses around the world. I mean, what evidence is there of that, and is that working?
Yeah, I think so very much. In fact, billionaires particularly have a great place and an opportunity to fill where a lot of governments just simply haven't gone or can't afford to go anymore. If you think about the diseases that are out there, and the reality is as such funding may not come from the government for smaller or perhaps less impactful diseases, but no more important to the families that are affected, billionaires and substantial foundations can give to those causes. Same for fundamental sciences. Look at Elon Musk, for example. Look at space exploration, Richard Branson as well. You see places where, again, billionaires are able to fund a gap that otherwise the governments just simply can't do today.
Darrell, many billionaires are seen as being motivated by ideological concerns. I mean, we see some of that in the United States. If we look at the Koch brothers, if we look at Sheldon Adelson, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
There's nothing wrong with having strong views and trying to implement your views. I mean, that's the essence of democracy, and we certainly encourage that. But what I argue in my book is we need greater accountability, because a lot of the money that's going into the American political process, for example, is coming in secret. And so that raises big problems for democracy. I mean, when we're looking ahead to our 2016 presidential election, this very well could be a $5 to $6 billion election. So it's going to be an enormous amount of money, and some of the money will be coming in secret. And so that I find pretty problematic.
Armand, do you see that in the Middle East as well, where rich donors basically condition their donations on ideological grounds? They say it becomes an extension of foreign policy, in other words. Do you see that?
Not so much. I think definitely the examples of U.S. is the best one that can be given in this part of the world. In Middle East, being royal families that are in place for generations do not see necessarily exactly this kind of habits.